So Nikkei, you can see, is 370 points higher. Hang Seng is 285 points in the green. Shanghai is also open with good gains, around 30 odd points higher.
We're given to understand that JSW Steel is set to close the long-awaited Bhushan Power deal today itself. We're given to understand that JSW Steel already raised the last tranche of about 2,500 crores.
Need to be a little careful going short at levels of 14,350 or around that number, because I think on a shorter term time frame we are slightly oversold.
1.1% higher, now 1%, so that's 155 up on the Nifty. 14,500 has been given up, but 14,470.
While one set of the companies will have an impact on their margins because of the higher cost, the other set of companies may benefit because of the higher commodity prices.
Market is up and about. I mean, we're up 140 points.
Supreme Court's final judgment, the final verdict is that the Tata Sons application has been upheld.
We are not exactly committing an exact timeline, but let me assure you that we are working whole hog and full time to see this through very soon.
At the moment, 14,545.
Well, that was the day so far. Hello and welcome to Closing Bell. I am Prashant Nair. With me, my colleague Surabhi Upadhyay. 60 minutes left for trade. A lot of action out there. We will track. Surabhi, hi.
Hi, Prashant. Good afternoon. And it is green and a pullback. I guess the market's gotten into this habit of having, better or more positive Fridays, right? That's what happened last week as well. But, jokes apart, I suppose, this pullback has happened because the globe has also been fairly supportive today and we're not underperforming like we had been over the past week. Let's pull up European markets right now for you and pull up, of course, how Asia closed out as well. So plenty of green, and today you don't have that kind of a flutter that's playing out. Add to that, perhaps, Prashant, that yesterday we fell a lot also because of expiry factors. Perhaps so now bulls would be heaving a sigh of relief that at least, there's been some pullback.
Oh, absolutely, Surabhi. Yesterday also was we underperformed massively because, for a lot of margin funding guys, it was the last day before the financial year ended. I mean, it coincided with the expiry, so that was the added pressure. Remember, Monday is a holiday. So that was there as well. It's been a wild week, and I've got some numbers, simple numbers to kind of press home that point, and the graphics should come up on your screen. This is what I'm looking at, right? The second column is, the intraday swing, the high minus the low for each of the days except today, because today has been largely a one-way move up. And the third column is the actual change, I mean, day on day, compared to the previous day. What was, how many points is the Nifty changed by? Look at that. I mean, Monday, there was a swing of 166 points. The actual close was just 7.5 points. 171 points on Tuesday. The actual change on the day was about 78. Wednesday, 217 points intraday swing, but from the previous close, 265 point change. And yesterday, 300 point intraday swing and a 224 point cut. So absolutely wild week. And that's the point I want to make, right? It's been a long and absolutely crazy week so far, which is coming to a close. I mean, I would say thankfully. And markets really, not just here, but around the world, have gotten a reality check to this entire reopening optimism. The reopening optimism is still there, but I think, as cases have shot up, not just here more than other parts of the world recently, I think that reality check has come through. The important question though is, has the market finished repricing COVID-19 risks? I mean, the surge in cases, is that repricing episode behind us and we kind of are at an equilibrium kind of a zone? The other point is the dollar. The dollar is inching higher. It's, I think, around the 200-day moving average. The point is, when global growth is pretty strong and US growth is strong as well, the dollar is weak. But what is happening right now is that the US growth is strong, but there seems to be downside which has opened up for the growth rest of the world. That's positive for the dollar. I mean, money heads into the dollar, and that's why the dollar remains a risk. It's not good news for emerging markets when the dollar heads higher. Technical backdrop, and I'll come to this point on the wall in a bit more detail. I mean, some of the markers for the so-called reflation trade are looking a bit shaky. I mean, equities, oil, commodities, rates in the US, etc. And I want to sort of wrap this up by saying that this is here and now. But I think, over the slightly medium to longer term, the calls and the expectation that global growth recovery is going to be vigorous, it's going to be strong, I think that case can very much still be made. But the point is, in markets, especially if you're trading, you've got to live day by day, and you've got to sort of get through one day to get to the next one without losing money. So that's where we are at right now. Surabhi.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I just want to put one more pointer on the table. The fact that the US 10-year is beginning to inch up once again. The number on the screen right now is reading 1.66. So again, we've been all over the place. 1.7374 highs, back to 1.61. And again, we're seeing that move to 1.66, at least for the time being. Well, with that, let's get started and look at the lineup for the next 1 hour, the last hour of the week as well. The market has managed to make a strong pullback, and it's a positive start to the April F&O series as well. Global markets continue to play ball, and there's plenty of green on the screen. We'll, of course, get you both technical ideas as well as the fundamental perspective as we go along. Tech Mahindra has underperformed its peers in the recent IT rally, but CLSA is fairly upbeat on the stock. In fact, it sees 22% upside. Why? We will tell you when we get to that analysis in a bit on the show. All right, now lenders to Bhushan Power are looking at a windfall gain of over 19,000 crore rupees as we learn exclusively that JSW Steel may close the deal as early as today itself. More on this and, of course, what it means for the lenders as well coming up. Now, it's been an absolutely rollercoaster week for the market. We will take a closer look at some of the most important charts and, of course, how things are set up globally as well. Prashant will present some interesting data on that. Finally, we'll track the way forward from here and, of course, talk about the next big trigger, which is the earnings season. Today, our guest on the show is Amit Shah, Head of Equity Research at BNP Paribas India.
Okay, so how should you position yourself in the last hour of trade? What should you do here and now? Manas Jaiswal is joining us right now to tell us exactly that. Manas, thanks very much. Good afternoon. Prashant here. What would you do, Manas?
Good afternoon, Prashant. Yes, Nifty is up almost 350 points from yesterday's low, but Nifty is still trading below the resistance of 14,600. So I think if you want to create aggressive long position, then you should wait for a breakout above 14,600. If Nifty breaks 14,600, then definitely you can see almost 300 to 400 points rally. Otherwise, I think this is no trading zone. So I think it is better idea to avoid index and go stock specific.
Okay, Manas, afternoon. Let's also talk about the individual stock strategies that you'll go with now last hour.
Yeah, good afternoon, Surabhi. So, two buy recommendations. First one is a buy call on JSW Steel because most of the metal counters are looking strong on the charts. JSW Steel has been taking support near to 20-day moving average on every correction, and today's stock has given a fresh breakout on the chart. So, I believe that stock has potential to test 470. So, take a long position here in JSW Steel and keep your stop loss below 439. And second is a buy call on Godrej CP because stock has broken the neckline of inverse head and shoulder pattern, and now stock is trading above 200-day moving average. So looking at the entire setup, looking at the volumes, I believe that here you may see some more recovery, and Godrej CP can test 740, 745 very soon. So take a long position here. Stop loss should be around 694.
Okay, all right, Manas, thanks very much for that. With that, let's welcome in Prakash Diwan into the conversation as well. Prakash, thanks for joining in. Big pullback, right? Every day it's such a different day these days in the market. Let's get in your sense on the point that, of course, Prashant also mentioned. Do you think the worst of the year-end adjustment factors, whatever, booking of losses had to happen, all that, the expiry impact, all that has played out? And do you think at least for the interim, there's a bit of a bottom in place?
Yes, Surbi. So it seems like, the kind of coincidence of the expiry, the last trading day for the financial year, a lot of those international cues kind of weighing heavily. All of that's kind of played out pretty fast, pretty rapidly, in fact. So that's exactly why, if you see in the month of March, for the series, we lost a significant amount of ground just within the last 1 week, 8 days. But my sense is, the kind of value buying that is still emerging in old economy stocks, particularly a lot of the cyclicals from the infra and cap goods and cement and steel space. there is definitely a lot of portfolio buying, and come April, things could probably look different because there'll be much more clarity in terms of how the US setup is panning out. So I think it's time to kind of keep adding because adding on dips has helped in the last 3 months, and I don't see any change in that trend. The only thing is that the fall this time around did give you that sense of vulnerability because certain pockets of valuations were fairly rich. And you would have to be a bit cautious. But I think financials will make a comeback. Pharma could give you a bounce back. So there's lots to choose from.
Prakash, what about metals? I mean, look at the move in some of these names now. Any thoughts? Steel specifically?
I think the pressure that could probably come down, Prashant, would be more on aluminium, more on copper. But ferrous will continue to do well because there's nothing upsetting, for the ferrous space from the China side. That, it was expected that China could ramp up production. There could probably be a little bit of a demand let down, and that actually doesn't seem like happening. The way iron ore prices have been firming up, that's a very clear indicator, and it's always a leading indicator of the kind of demand for end products. And my sense is all of these steel players will probably continue to see their march up. But somewhere you would also have to look at, booking profits if you entered last year, middle of last year.